Okay. Hello guys, how are we all doing? Welcome back to yet another video, folks. Today we are predicting the PDC World Masters 2026 free darts betting tips and preview for the ITV4 televised major in Milton Keynes. So the PDC's Wimbledon World Masters takes place from January the 28th, 29th of January to the February the 1st. So check out Chris Hammer's preview and selections for the ITV televised major. The new PDC season may have already started with a couple of invitational World Series events earlier this month in Bahrain and Saudi Arabia. But this is where the whole tour can attempt to get their campaigns up and running with a bang. This is the second staging of a rampant version of the Masters, which gives them all tour card holders outside the world's top 24, in addition to a selection of qualifiers for the secondary tours, the opportunity to earn the 8 extra spots for the televised stages from Thursday to Sunday at the Marshall Arena in Milton Keynes. Before you get into YouTube channel, please hit the subscribe button. Right, who can hold their nerve best? In case you need reminding, the World Masters is one of the 3 set play tournaments on the PDC calendar, but unlike the other two, each set is a cutthroat best of 3 legs. The first round proper in Milton Keynes are the best of 5 sets. Second round and quarterfinals are the best of 7 sets. Semi-finals is the best of 9 sets, and the final is the best of 11 sets. So we can expect to see a lot of deciding legs throughout each match, particularly in the latter stages. But therefore, in terms of picking potential champions, one of the key ingredients for success has got to be the ability to be clinical and the ice cold in these pressure situations, and on a consistent basis too. When I wrote last year's preview for this event, which is arguably hardly anyone had the experience of the format, I thought one particular statistic that might have been useful is the percentage of deciding legs won in the previous 12 months. Although this data only refers to leg play matches that have gone all the way, and it still gives us as a flavour as to who can hold who can hold their game together most of these crunch moments. The 3 players I selected, Stephen Bunting, Johnny Clayton and Danny Noppert, were all in the top 4 for this statistic and went on to perform fantastically well. Noppert beat Bunting 4-3 in the quarterfinals before losing to eventual champion Luke Humphries, while Clayton came through in an epic clash with Luke Littler en route to finishing runner-up in a final that did indeed to go all the way. So deciding leg, so I'm going to use the same strategy in this time round. So obviously it's got to be in mind that some players won't have as big example size as the others, while data available doesn't split out how many times in these deciding legs, but they were throwing first or not. This list can't be used to, category categorically. Categorically determine who holds their nerve better in the last leg deciders. So as you can see, Luke Woodhouse is the table topper, but he's in the same mini section as Luke Humphries, and I'm not sure he's ready yet to become a major champion, despite a encouraging progress he's been making over the last 12 months. Gary Anderson is the second and will be considered as a serious contender anyway, due to how well he performed en route to the semi-finals at the Ali Pali. However, it comes to the mental stigma. I'm a little suspectful as to whether he will thrive in playing 5 matches on Saturday and Sunday. If he gets that far and 2 matches on that final evening, as you can see, Danny Nopper and Clayton have continued to rank particularly highly in this area, as well as their performances at last year's World Masters. I'm also going to direct you to their record in the deciding legs of sets at the recent World Championship. Noppert pinched 3 of the 5 sets he won across his sadly short run in a deciding legs. But even in his epic defeat to inspired Justin Hood, he continually produced show-stopping finishes to ensure the tie went on as long as it did. But in the end, he was very unfortunate to run into such a special performance from his opponent. As for Clayton, he edged 6 sets of the deciding legs en route to the quarterfinals, and only lost 2 sets that went all the way. And just like Nopper, he does tend to be unflappable character, but we saw true evidence of that 12 months ago, where he defied Littler's ridiculous 108 average in that 4-2 quarterfinal win. As for Littler, you might be surprised to see him quite low on the above list. So during the World Championship, he won 9 deciding legs in sets and lost just 2. Littler's motivation to win titles is always ridiculously high, but the Masters is just one of the 2 majors he needs to complete the set. And how remarkable would it be for him to do just that while he's still a teenager at age 19, after celebrating his 19th birthday last week. Despite the relatively precarious nature of this major, I really do expect him to storm to glory, and therefore I'm going to swerve everyone in the top half of the draw, apart from the fawn on his side last year, Clayton. It will be ridiculous tough for the Ferret to defeat him if their parts across in the semi-finals, but it's worth having on side just in case the nuke suffers a rare shock in the early rounds. Right, in the bottom half we have Noppert. So I'm included in my staking plan once again for reasons already discussed in while my second section is Nathan Aspinall. The Ass has won 62.50% of his deciding legs in the last 12 months, only sit 4th on the table above, and it's widely regarded that he enjoyed one of his best ever seasons in 2025, but he's been extremely unfortunate to miss out on the Premier League inclusion. But this will give them that extra bit of motivation that we all know how much he enjoys trying to prove people wrong. Prices over around 40 to 1 are just too big for a player of his ability and hunger, so he goes in with confidence. But the downside is that he finds himself in the same section as Jan van Veen. He'll be highly fancied after his string of stunning displays at Ali Pali, and I predict Van Veen to go through to the final again and to play it in a rematch of the World Championship final, Luke Littler. I tipped Luke Littler to beat Jan van Veen in the final, but let's just wait and see. Anything can happen, but let's just see what happens. The young Dutchman also won 13 deciding legs during his run to the final, including 4 in the pressure of his first semi-final against Anderson, and lost just 2. 1 against the Flying Scotsman and the other against Littler. He'll be dangerous, but at 7 to 1, he is perhaps a bit too short for this tournament. A bit too short in this tournament. Right, how can Luke Littler win every major in 2026 darts season? Paul Nicholson assesses whether the Nuke can achieve a remarkable clean sweep this year. As we approach the first major of the new season, PDC Dart season, Paul Nicholson questions whether Luke Littler has what it takes to complete a clean sweep of big titles in 2026. Only 2 players in PDC history has managed to lift every major trophy that was available to them throughout their careers, but only Michael van Gerwen was able to reach double figures in just 1 unbeatable season. And his frequent dominance in 2016, MVG stormed to glory the Masters, the UK Open, the Premier League, the World Match Play, the World Series Finals, the World Grand Prix, the European Championships, the Grand Slam of Darts, the Players Championship Finals, before closing out the campaign by glory at the 2017 World Championship. This was counted as an unpleasant clean sweep of all the majors where it not existed for the BBC televised Champions League back then tournament, which is lost in the final to none other than Phil Taylor. However, in terms of that 10 majors, that they are really up for grabs, but today's calendar, where he can still regard us as the only unbeaten major campaign of all time. Taylor's best hole in one season came in 2009, where he won 8 of the 9 available with a shock Premier League semi-final defeat to Mervyn King in the only blemish of his career, of his year. This season predates for the introduction of the Masters and the World Series, but the Las Vegas Desert Classic did at least make up for one of those. Littler is just 2 trophies away from completing the set of majors in just his third season on tour. If he can pick up an exclusive World Masters and the European Championship in his last year as a teenager, that could really be the record that stands for generations. But this time I'm going to focus of his chances lifting all 10 this season, including the 27 World Championship. Could he really be that unbeatable? Littler is the only 4th player behind Taylor, MVG and James Wade to reach double figures for the PDC majors, but despite that, this is incredibly tally by the age of just 19. But there are still plenty of star names who can stop in on their day. They should have get carried away about how expectations for him. As a Littler fan, I think 10 is possible, isn't it? So Phil Taylor won 79 PDC majors. Michael Van Gerwen won 48 majors. James Wade won 11 PDC majors. Luke Littler won 10 majors. What about Luke Humphries? Luke Humphries won 8 majors. Peter Wright won 8 majors as well. Gary Anderson won 8 majors as well. Gerwin Price won 7 majors. Raymond van Barneveld won 6 majors. Adrian Lewis won 4 majors. Johnny Clayton won 4 majors. Rob Cross won 4 majors as well. John Parks won 3 majors, including 3-time world champion. Michael Smith won 2 majors. Daryl Gurney won 2 majors, including the World Cup alongside Josh Rock. Colin Lloyd won 2 majors back in the day, as is Robert Thornton. And Rod Harrington, the very own Rod Harrington, 2 World Match Plays. Luigi Vandenberg won previously 2 majors. Nathan Aspinall won 2 majors. Yeah, and that's about it. The 20 multiple PDC major winners. After all this time last year, he lost out to inspired Johnny Clayton in the Wimbledon World Masters quarterfinals despite averaging 108. So tonight's matches is follow: Chris Dobie, Jermaine Watamina, Gary Anderson, Neil Zonneveld, James Wade, Madas Rasma, Nathan Aspinall, Shane McGurk, Johnny Clayton, Wessel Nyman, Gerwin Price, James Hurrell, Michael Van Gerwen, Damon Hector, Kian Van Veen versus Ryan Joyce. And then Friday's night's action: Luke Littler, Mike DeDecker, Ross Smith versus Jimmy Van Ski, Ryan Searle versus Rob Cross, Josh Rock versus Connor Scott, Luke Humphries versus Dave Chisnell, Martin Schindler, Luke Woodhouse, Stephen Bunting against Jeffrey de Graaf, and Danny Noppert versus Daryl Gurney. Right, so this area we do see the occasions where it gets players put in a massive numbers, but still lost although it comes to Littler. You can really need to be on your A game on the biggest stages to stand any chance or hope. He has a very rare off day. That happened at last year's European Championship, where he averaged at below par 97 in a 10-7 defeat to James Wade in round 2. But at very other major, apart from the double start of the World Grand Prix, he was averaging well over 100 for the tournament. Which are the easy majors for him to win? Make no mistake, Luke Littler's tournament winning averages for his 10 major titles are incredibly. Only Phil Taylor, MVG, managed this so regularly. But make no mistake about it, Littler is phenomenal at all formats of the game, whether it's short, long, set play, match play, or double start. And as much he loves leading from the front and blitzing people off the board, he's also proven he has the fighting spirit to bounce back from the big deficits and hold his nerve in a tight situation. Literally, nothing seems to be phasing. However, they can also be no doubt that the longer format and the tougher it's for as anyone to get closer to him, as we saw at the World Championship where he dropped just 4 sets across his 7 matches. He is a ninja at set play, and there was more evidence of that at the World Grand Prix where he dropped just 4 sets in his 5 matches, while during the aforementioned World Masters he averaged over 104 in his first 2 wins without dropping a set before that astonishing 4-2 defeat to Clayton. The best of 3 leg sets in that event does create a bit of a leveler for Littler's potential opponents. If he is at his usual levels, it would take something silly like 12 months ago to stop him ticking off another major. Away from the set play events, the other events some may describe as bankers are the World Match Play and the World Grand Slam of Darts, who are the longest of the leg play formats. He gave away 5-0 leads multiple times, but it didn't bother him like it would most players because he knows he's got so many levels to his game. Where is he most vulnerable? The other majors are all over at the short formats where the longest matches will be the best of 21 legs, even for a player as good as Littler. Getting off to a poor start can prove vital, but we saw that recently in Bahrain where he was soundly beaten by Gerwin Price in the race to 6. Of these majors, only one is repeated struggled in his European Championship where he suffered a first round exit to Andrew Gilding in 2024 before that second round defeat to Wade last year. Across his 3 matches of this stage, he's yet to average over 100, and therefore the only previous weaknesses of Littler at the moment is playing in Germany, and that was further highlighted by what happened to him and Luke Humphries at the World Cup at Darts. As far as the Players' Championship finals is concerned, they were murmurings last year about some of the top players skipping the Pro Tour events in 2026, and that would ultimately mean failing to qualify for the for Minehead Major. However, while Littler will opt to miss a fair chunk of them like he did last year, I still expected him to make a short trips to Wigan to comfortably win enough prize money to sell his spot. What else could Littler achieve? It's remarkable to think that he's almost complete the darts yet barely started his career, but aside from the trophy count, he's also need to set himself other kinds of records to break to keep himself hungry and motivated. One of those will be Marco van Gerwen's world record average of 123.4 from the 2016 Premier League season. Despite Littler's ridiculous levels, his best PDC average of 115.96 in just outside the top 10 in the Premier League history, and only the 16th highest of all televised events. But this is something they will be desperate to improve on in 2026. He's got a 120 plus average in his locker, and I believe we'll see him reaching that figure at some point this season. So that's my predictions for the World Masters and for can Luke Littler win every major in 2026? Leave on your comments below, and we'll see you in the next one. See you later. Bye. Good night.